Welcome to the DoubleEdge podcast, where just like our sword has two sides, so does everything in life, especially when it comes to stories. Regardless of the side, there is always a consequence. Regardless if it falls heads, if it falls tails, there is always something that happens. Be rest assured, our sword is a double edge. It can cut both ways, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. That leads me to the next question. When you watch stories, how does that affect you? Like we've mentioned, a story can contain positive and negative lessons, okay? Let's learn to be aware. That's what this podcast is all about. And let's enjoy that awesome side, that fun side, all that beautiful action and comedy and drama, but let's not be influenced by the negative side, all right? So let's dive into today's episode. I'm gonna give you a little of an introduction of what we're doing in this podcast, and then we're going to talk about Hustle, the new Adam Sandler movie airing now in Netflix. Now, maybe this whole thing about positive, negative lessons and stories influencing us, maybe it sounds a little bit dramatic. Does it though? Is a story just a story with no effect in the real world? I'm not so sure about that. Stories provide connection. We connect with stories. So stories equals connection. And you know what happens when we connect with something or with somebody? Then that provokes understanding. Understanding provokes values, okay? That equals when we understand something, we begin to value something. And depending on our values, we begin to act on those values. And our actions determine our culture. So let's repeat that. Stories provides connection, which provides understanding, which provide values, which provide actions, which provide our culture. So yes, stories can affect our lifestyle, how we live. Let me give you an example. Think of a story where our protagonist, and there are many of these stories, think of a story where our protagonist is lied to and he suffers that lie and he is mistreated. Our protagonist is mistreated by that lie, that terrible lie, and there's no trust anymore. Relationships break. He's left on the side. Our protagonist suffers. A story of how our protagonist was lied to and he's suffering. That provokes connection because maybe you and I have suffered something similar. That provides understanding, so we empathize with our protagonist, and that's why we enjoy the story, we enjoy the book, we enjoy the movie. And what does that provoke? We value honesty, because we saw this story and we saw the disgusting result of lies, and now we value honesty, and that provokes our actions, which now our actions are based on the fact that we want to be honest people. And so that, because we live constantly acting on those values, it provides our lifestyle, our culture, the way we move our family in our home, and the way we work day to day. So stories affect a lot, and I just gave you one little example, and I'm sure you thought of a billion movies with just that example. And it's the same in everything. Stories, we connect with them, we learn values, and we act, and that affects us since we were little tiny kids. We were little children watching cartoons, and some cartoons teach us amazing lessons. Nowadays, there are some questionable cartoons out there, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. We love stories, not just because they're entertaining, but because they do influence a lot on people's lives. And I love stories because as a Christian, I want to be a light, right? I want to be a light. I want to share awesome stories with powerful values no matter what you believe in. I know that I just want to share positive values through my stories, and I love storytelling. So that's why I like breaking apart the stories and seeing what values we can learn from them, because they do influence us whether we like to admit it or not. So we have a situation. Stories based on truth educate. Stories based on lies manipulate. Here's the plot twist. Stories based on truth with a twist manipulate the educated. We covered this in the first episode. The medium have some twists in it. The whole point of this podcast is for us to be on our toes. It's not to satanize everything, to hate on everything, to point at everything and make sure you don't enjoy any stories. That is not the purpose of this podcast at all. It's to bring awareness. It's to enjoy the good aspects of every single story, because there is something to redeem in every story. We need to know what we are consuming, what our family is consuming, and how to react to the whole project. The most seemingly innocent Disney movies can breed bad habits into your kids, and they could later grow up with that culture, you guessed it, with those slightly different values, that slightly different lifestyle culture than what you would have wanted for them, than what is actually healthy for them. So we just gotta be aware of what we are consuming. Kids don't do what you tell them. They do what you do. I'm sure you've heard that principle. They do what you do. They imitate you. That's why it's important to be people of integrity as parents, of course, before we tell everybody else what to do, because they look at our actions before they hear our words. The same applies to stories. They do what they see. They imitate. So enjoy all the movies you want, but make sure you're aware of the messages they are hiding, and ensure that the communication in the family is off the charts, because there will be something negative in everything. It's inevitable. Because we are humans. Humans make mistakes. Humans are making the movies. Humans are writing the books. Humans are writing the stories. Humans make mistakes. Let's get to today's project then. We are going to analyze Hustle, the new Adam Sandler movie. Here we go. So taking a look at the whole project, I'm going to give a spoiler like I always like doing. I enjoyed the movie. Yay! I recommend it. I definitely recommend it. Go give it a watch for sure. It's great. But let's take a look at two of the core lessons, of the core values that this movie is teaching. The movie is called Hustle, and for good reason. What does it promote? It promotes hard work. So I don't think it's a terrible idea for your kids to watch this. Work hard. Is that biblical? Of course it's biblical. 1 Corinthians 9:24, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. There's only one prize. You gotta run in a way that you're gonna win the race. You gotta win the race. You gotta work hard. You gotta win the fight. You gotta win the basketball game. You gotta hustle. Working hard is important. Here's the Hollywood mistake, and it's even mentioned in the trailer. Hey, you don't need anybody. Well, that's not entirely true. You can't get very far alone. There's this saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with somebody else. I can't remember exactly how the quote goes, but the important thing is working hard, just working and working and working all alone, and you hustling and hustling and hustling. Those are good values, but you won't get very far if that's the only thing you think about, if that's the only thing you do. That's not the full lesson. What do we learn in Matthew 11? You need rest. Jesus gives you true rest. Isaiah 40:31, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. What does Hollywood and the internet say? They promote a great lesson, but they rarely promote the full lesson. A phone will work, a computer will work until the battery drains, right? A car, a motorcycle will run until the gas is out. You got to work hard, but you got to make sure you're plugged into Jesus. So it's a positive lesson. It isn't a full lesson. Of course, it's not going to be. I didn't expect it to be. I'm not expecting it to talk about Jesus at mid-movie, right? That would be awkward. This is just me reminding you that hard work unaccompanied with a charger is not going to get you very far. It's still a great movie. It's wonderful. Just remember that little point that Hollywood rarely points out. And you know what? Something positive we could get out of this movie? Stanley, the coach, picture him as a symbol of God. Yeah, just do that for me for a second. You are Bo Cruz, you are the player in this game called life, and he is the coach that is just helping you out. He is there for you, he is teaching you, he's guiding you, he's training you. If I look at the movie that way, it's wonderful. So let's just watch out with what Hollywood and the internet tries to tell us, that we are amazing and you gotta work hard, and whenever you're draining out, what do you gotta do? What does Hollywood say that you gotta do? You gotta search within, right? You gotta dig deep into your heart and search within. Yeah, I believe in perseverance, but it does not come from within, ladies and gentlemen. Within, it's very clear, not just looking at the Bible, looking at statistics of today's day and age of life. It is very clear that within there is not much. There is despair. There are questions within. There's anxiety. There's depression. There's not knowing where to go, not knowing what's going to happen. That is within. So within provides all those questions, but with Jesus, you get all the answers. You have the charger. You have the gas for your car. You got life. Be aware of those little tweaks in great lessons. Here's a truth. Hard work will beat talent. So hard work is definitely an important lesson, and I'm glad Hustle addresses that lesson, provides that value, and hopefully it inspires you to be more persevering, more hardworking, more disciplined, because that is a truth. But another truth, hard work without God ends up being pointless. It's meaningless. No one cares for trophies on their deathbed. Hard work without God ends up being meaningless because you die, it all ends there when it's without God. But when it's with Him, that's where things begin, and it's just wonderful what happens later. So yes, this is probably me just being very picky about all the details of the message in general. Once again, great movie, fantastic movie. Take note on some of the lessons. Just be aware, Hollywood rarely gives you the full lesson, and we shouldn't expect it to. But that's why you got me here, right? That's why you're following this channel, so that I can help you out. Figure out lessons that can complete these good lessons, right? So that's one of the things, hard work. The other aspect in these situations, in these type of movies, is that little phrase, follow your heart, or achieve your dreams. Is that correct? Is that a good lesson? Well, duh, it's a wonderful lesson. It's very important. You have been specially made. Right? You are a special person. You are a special creation. You have gifts. Isaiah 64:8 says, "But now, O Lord, thou art our Father. We are the clay, and thou our potter. And we all are the work of thy hand." He made us. There, in a very special way, He prepared us. So that's important. Now, what did He prepare Bo Cruz for? For basketball, to play basketball, and we can see that clearly in the movie. So that was probably his biggest dream, and you can tell that he dedicated a while to that dream because he was good at what he did. And you got something, you were made for something, so you should definitely take this movie as a sign. If you are waiting for some sign, take it as a sign to start developing what God has given you, right? Have you not seen the parable of the talents? He gave you something. He expects you to use it. He expects you to develop it, to invest it, and to make it grow. So that is important. Now, here's the thing. Hollywood promotes the what? The dreams. But they never promote the why. They promote the what? The trophies, the hard work, the fulfilling, the following of your heart, that you achieve your dreams, but they never promote the why. Why are you gonna achieve your dreams? And I think that's my major issue with stories in general. And once again, that's why you're in this channel, because I'm gonna give you the why. Yes, the what. You have dreams, you were designed for something, so that's what you gotta do. But why? God made you. God made you to glorify Him. He created you. He's the one that gave you the talents. He's the one that gave you everything you have, everything you need to succeed. It's Him. It's all because of Him. It's all by Him, and it's all for Him. So be careful with the follow your heart, because there are several passages also in the Bible that says your heart is mischievous, right? It's sinful. It's your heart desires wrong things. So before you go on to try to do any kind of dreams, to fulfill any kind of dreams, first let's analyze this little piece of work right here. Let's work on that first. Let's get the Bible to give us a new heart, to make us alive. Let's follow Jesus. Let's invite Him in our heart so that we can come alive once again. And then we can start following the dreams that God has for us. And when you achieve them, you will be more joyful than you have ever been in your entire life, because glorifying God feels so good. You just don't know yet because you haven't done it. Try it. You'll realize that's the purpose of your life, and nothing feels better than when you fulfill the purpose of your life. And who knows better your purpose of your life than the one that designed you? He designed you. He knows what gifts he gave you. He knows your purpose. So listen to him. So, yes, it's not a bad lesson. Those achieve dreams, that's not a bad lesson, but it's not a full lesson. It's actually a twisted lesson because sometimes, when not applied correctly, your dreams can drive you away from the Lord. It can drive you away from God. That's the double edge here. It can cut you the wrong way. It's a 5-star movie. Let's talk a little about the movie. There is family growth. There is character development, character growth. There are good lessons. Okay, there's realistic comedy. I love that little. In some of the Adam Sandler movies, there's kind of just unbearable comedy sometimes. You know, and I'm a goofy guy. Honestly, there are a lot more people that criticize the movies a lot more than I do because I like anything. But there are just some moments where it's, okay, it's kind of unbearable. But this movie has realistic comedy. It's wonderful. It feels real. It feels right. It feels like he lived the character. I absolutely love the coach character. I cried with that character. Just seeing how he believed in somebody. I talked to my wife and I said, everybody should have somebody that believes in them the way that coach believes in that kid. I want to be that kind of leader. I want to believe in my people. I want to believe in my kids. I want to believe in them the way that coach believed in that player. That was amazing. That was awesome. I'm trying to apply it in my life because I believe it's a good lesson. And there's basketball players. There's cameos in the entire movie. That was cool. So awesome story, awesome acting, awesome editing. It is a familiar story because it has it's a formula. It's a sports formula story, okay? So it's familiar, so it's not like there's a lot of plot twists. There's a little few details in there. I'm not going to give them away. There are a few details that were very fun, that were different, and I enjoyed. But at the end of the day, it was familiar. But the execution was phenomenal. And because of that execution, you can forgive the familiarity, and you can absolutely enjoy this movie. So, as a conclusion, many stories promote hard work and dream achievement. That's good. That's awesome. It's even biblical. Hard work, dream achievement. Good, awesome, biblical. But make sure you don't work so hard you forget to rest and rely on Jesus, number 1. And number 2, make sure you don't dream so much that you forget the one that gave you the dream in the first place. Hustle is great, but God is first. Get it? Hustle, it's a verb, but it's also the movie. Okay, thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure you like and you share it, okay? That really helps the channel, really helps the video. And if you haven't, consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can get the rest of the videos. Next week, I was going to talk about Stranger Things Season 4, but that was before I knew there are new episodes coming out, so that will not be next week yet. I want to see the full season before we talk about Stranger Things 4, so next week we're going to be talking about Jurassic World. I just saw it, and I got some comments, okay? See you next week. Thank you for watching.